You're on.
All right, good evening, everyone. This meeting is being held with the benefit of public notice as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Mr. Carabelli?
Here.
Mr. Whalen?
Here.
Mr. Papero? Here. Mr. Ty?
Here.
Ms. Phillips is absent.
And would everyone rise for the salute to the flag and the invocation? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we just have a moment of silence for the passing this morning of Pope Francis? Thank you. I just want to read a quote that was one of Pope Francis's quotes that was pretty famous. Rivers do not drink their own water, trees do not eat their own fruit, the sun does not shine on itself, and flowers do not spread their fragrance for themselves. Living for others is a rule of nature. We are all born to help each other, no matter how difficult it is. Life is good when you are happy, but much better when others are happy because of you. Thank you.
Amen. Very good. Amen. Thank you, Councilman Carabelli. All right, Carrie, you're up first, Department of Water Pollution Control.
Hurry up, Carrie.
The pressure now.
Would you rather go last? We can.
I don't know how long they take it. Oh, I know how long I take it, but...
We've got you first in the order, so
Okay.
unless you
Beautiful.
want to. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Do you have opening remarks that you'd like to start with?
I do. Does this automatically work?
Do you see a red light?
No.
It's,
I have to keep it pressed?
no.
No.
If the red light's on, you're being recorded.
It's not? I have to press
No.
it? I have to press it for the red light to go on.
So just tap it a little lower, don't hold it down too much.
It should just stay on.
It's working.
There we go. All right.
Good evening, Council President Ty, council members, and Hamilton at large. Thank you, Mayor Martin, the administration, and yourselves for providing for WPC so that we can keep your wastewater facility moving forward. Statistics. On an average in '24, we process 7.1 million gallons per day of wastewater. This number isn't fancy, but if you put a few gallons of wastewater in your basement, you'd agree that what we do every day protects the public health and the environment. That is over 100,000 residents between Hamilton and Robbinsville. We do this while the parts of the plant are over 85 years old. Take pumps, for example. Did you know we have close to 300 pumps that we operate and maintain in the utility altogether? Last year, we also collected, in '24, over $830,000 just in connection fees. Operating expenses. While prices continue to increase, we were able to stay within budget. I'm proposing for '25 a 0.3% decrease in our operating budget. That's overall. Salary and wages. An aging workforce is still one of the biggest challenges facing WPC. We continue to try to fill vacant positions with motivated, skilled workers. Such a challenge. We know that this is a challenge not only around the state, but around the country, as Mayor Martin witnessed at the United States Conference of Mayors in a recent Lancaster conference. The rest of the mayors around the country were saying the same exact thing. This is aggravated because licensed operators in New Jersey and in the country are retiring faster than can be replenished. I'm asking to maintain the current total projected headcount of 68. The second biggest challenge is the aging infrastructure. And you'll recall the last couple of years, I've talked about both these two as our biggest challenges. The department continues to work hard to plan, bid, and build those upgraded and replacement projects. A few highlights for 2024. began construction to replace 6 of our RBCs. Okay, let's get excited. You know how I roll. Picture time. Let me start passing it around while I talk. Here, you get to see too. This is on a tractor trailer bed that just pulled into the plant.
RBC,
RBC, rotating biological contactor.
thank you.
We have 48 of them in the plant. They cost about $300,000 each. Over the next 6 years, 6 years, we hope to replace all of them. It's a lot of money, but it is the heart of our biological treatment process. It is necessary. And in fact, by now, it's April, they're all in and running. All of them, all 48 of them. They have been failing slowly over the last 5, 6, 7 years, so this is very, very good. This is a big deal.
6 out of how many we're replacing?
We're going to replace them all. This year, we finished replacing 6.
I know. What is all? Tell me that
48.
number again. 48, thank you.
Our next 8 are already under design. Another accomplishment for '24, we enlarged the NJDOT pump station. That was completed. It's Route 130 and Cooser, allowing for more commercial growth in that area. Also, a new roll-off truck arrived in '24. This will enable WPC to haul our own wastewater sludge to the landfill. So prices have astronomically increased exponentially, so now we're going to do our own, and we figured that payback's about 1.5 years. So very, very good. What's on the horizon for '25? We expect to start hauling our sludge by the end of the year. Master plan is expected to be completed by the end of the year. I have been saying that. It has been delayed, but this year we really do believe it will be completed. That will be incorporated into our capital budget next year. We continue to watch regulations for the potential NJDEP requirements to nearly eliminate ammonia and PFAS from our effluent, the water we discharge to the creek. I talked about those last year. You've heard about those in the news, all that type of thing. And lastly, more construction to bolster our aging infrastructure in the plant and in the collection system. In summary, DEP is requesting the following budget for '25. Total operating expenses, including salary, wages, and statutory expenses, $24.8 million. That is less than last year. Capital projects, $12.4 million. Now, that's a lot of money. And we've had a challenge spending every year all the capital money. But only one project in that takes up $5 million by itself. It's almost an emergency project. It has to move forward. The administration and Eugenie are aware. This $5 million project is for the replacement or the rehabilitation of the Yardville-Groville force main, which brings the wastewater from the pump station out there. Right at 130 is the pump station all the way back down to the plant. So that needs to be rehabilitated. In closing, I would like to thank the men and women who work at WPC for being ready 24/7 to respond to emergencies. Thank you. What questions do you have?
Carrie, just wanted just a clarification. You said 68 full-time employees?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted...
The budget is for that. We have less right now. We're having trouble hiring.
Okay.
Do you know some good people?
So I did see 70, though, on the one page. That's why I was just a little confused.
70
Don't
was
go by
last
that?
year.
Okay, don't go by that. Okay. All right. And do we, for the individuals that you're bringing on, obviously, they need certain specific licenses and certifications for some of the positions, I'm sure, right?
Some.
We could look a closer look at the training budget, but you feel like you've allocated the funding for some of those training and seminars throughout the year that need to happen? correct?
Yes.
And we're making an effort to promote from within into those positions that require certifications, correct?
Firstly, yes, that's what we tried.
How is your O&E down this year? What was like some of the, just if you can give a couple highlights. I mean, I'm loving what you're saying. Chief, tough act to follow here. No, I'm just, but less is more, yeah. But what were some of any highlights that you want to mention on the O&E that you wanted to bring to our attention?
O&E in general, we have, I think it was 2 years ago, we had to transfer from wages over into one of our objectives. This year we did not have to. We were okay in all of our objectives, so that was good. I mentioned a few highlights earlier. That's overall. O&E, I think it was good overall. I think that the history now, as I press the superintendents, if you will, to be accurate with their budgets and to plan the work and then to work the plan. That's what they say. That's what we need to do. We get tripped up because of emergencies, and they happen all the time. Small, big.
Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off if you wanted to finish your thought. You had mentioned you're having some difficulty spending capital authorization, previously authorized capital funds. What's causing the holdup there?
Manpower.
Is that right? Just because you've been shorthanded? So, like, are there any particular projects that you've had earmarked for completion that are not getting done?
There are projects, right?
Prioritizing. I know that. It's always triage with you. You know, I have high confidence in you're going to make sure that the most pressing need is going to be filled.
All right. So we continue to talk to people, to get applications in individually. Last week one walked in. We get them from the personnel office, etc. We interview, we call, we talk, we try, and there's all kinds of factors. Our engineer for the plant, we have two basic engineers, one in the collection system, one in the plant. He left, and he went to be pretty much an assistant director for the Water Supply Authority, which is up, where's that, in, not Warren County, Sussex County, maybe Warren County, I'm not sure. Anyway, he left. He's by Spruce Run, Round Valley, that's where he is. So I think that was February or March of last year. So I get to wear two hats, and that's very difficult. So as an engineer myself.
I appreciate that you brought in a tight budget, but are we paying enough for these positions? If we're having trouble filling the positions, is that something we have to consider?
The answer is that we have found in general by other
you mentioned the mayor sees a nationwide trend with this.
Right. It's what do you want to say? All of us are gracious and grateful for the work that everyone does, and working in this blank stuff sometimes is not very nice. So it is a challenge. Some people, people don't always want to go into this industry. I mean, how did I get into it? The environment kind of thing. So we have found pretty consistently, as far as what do you want to say? The word on the street is that Hamilton does fine. They do probably above average as far as wages and benefits. So we are very much competitive in this arena, and people will come. But there's other factors like how far do they live, and some various other factors.
I'm a big proponent of increasing union member salaries.
Pardon?
I'm a big advocate of increasing union member salaries, so I'm sure.
So, and the other piece of that is once, Carrie gets bodies in the door, she's really terrific about offering training and, for them to get better and better, go for their different certifications if they want to. She's very encouraging with that. And so she's had a lot of staff members that have taken advantage of that and gone on to get the certifications. They're very difficult to get. So that's the other thing. They take some time and, we give them as much time and assistance as they need. So that's been really good. But it's also a double-edged sword sometimes, right? Somebody gets trained, gets another certification or license, and then they're wooed by other, systems, other municipalities, other authorities and such. And so a lot of times it's, they're getting something special from somebody else and they go. Sometimes you've had folks come back, but not many. So it's tough. It's tough to keep them. We try to retain them as best as we can, but and you've got a great crew over there of folks, so, and they're dedicated and most are very loyal to the township, so they do a good job.
And you do, but maybe I'm confused, because you're saying you have capital projects, that you have money earmarked for capital projects, but you can't get them done because of, say, manpower shortage.
Yeah.
Which leads me to, okay, if that's the case, are these projects that are upgrades to the facility?
Yes,
Why not outsource it then if you don't have the manpower?
we do.
Okay, so we're continuing to outsource?
Oh, absolutely. We get the engineers to design it. If we need a small study, that design, then we need bid, then we need bid to construction, so then you have a consultant again on deck for construction services, resident inspection, and you have the contractor. All that's fine. But you can't just say, okay, it's fine, go over there and do your job. We have to have somebody that's dovetailing in. There's always going to be something, even during design. I need the past engineering drawings, go find them. There's just a lot of internal coordination, a lot, and you don't have one project you're working on. You have many projects, inside and outside. So.
Okay. So it's more an internal problem. It's not outside the department. It's more internally that you don't have enough. Well, I think you mentioned it earlier, right? You're wearing two hats.
I am. So, and the outside engineer, he's helping, but he can't. He's working on the outside projects, and they're gangbusters. They're doing a great job, and they're moving forward, and they're spending their money, which is great. I have talked with the administration. We had several meetings, looked at different options and things like this. The mayor's on board. We're all together, and we're looking at design bid consideration, a different platform for getting it out into the public instead of just the design bid build, right? So we're looking at that option. Not the small engineering companies don't really do that. The bigger ones do that. So I'm going to get Eugenia, talk with her. We're probably going to go. I'll get Michelle and Michelle. And we'll go meet with the trust, which is the iBank at Trenton. Meet with them and say, what do we need to do? If we have to, there's iBank money always has some hoops. If we can stay inside buildings, that means we don't dig, therefore we don't have to do environmental studies for artifacts like Indian heads and things like that. So we won't have to do that, and we have plenty of construction inside. We're talking, instead of the standard, as you can imagine, say a $3-4 million bid project, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, right? If I do several of those, each of those takes all that effort. If I do one for $20 or $30 million, it's a lot. It's a tremendous amount, but it's still a little easier to process one pay estimate that month than 3 or 4 for small projects. So this conglomeration, in addition to a design build project, which means that the engineering company and the contractor are together as far as phasing it together, starting construction while some stuff is released and some stuff is being continued to be constructed, designed.
Okay, thank you.
I just had two quick questions. One was, you mentioned in your presentation the idea of, I know we ended up purchasing a hauler for cake, the sludge to take that. So how much are we projecting in savings from that? Do we know, like, is it significant? Is it going to be then outsourcing that like we did in the past?
Are we going to go back to bidding it so that somebody else will haul it in the future?
No, that's not what
Is that the question?
He's asking how much are we saving with bringing that in-house?
In-house,
Okay.
that's what, thank you.
I can get that information. I don't have it on me
I was just
tonight,
curious.
but I can tell you, what used to be classically a box, we call it a box, it's a container, right?
Oh, I remember.
Okay, I had my pictures a couple years ago.
As some of us who were so graciously given a tour have seen.
Okay, a box, a roll-off container, right, filled with sludge cake, right? That box used to cost us $350 to haul from Hamilton to Groves landfill. Right, $350, haul it.
One trip.
One trip. Come back, another box, take it out. We're averaging, used to be, more than half to 2 boxes a day. So that means one day 2 boxes, the next day 1, then the next, like that kind of thing. Now, the price per, it has exponentially gone, $1,000 a box. So from years, it was $350, $450. I think this year, at the end of the year, we're going to be paying $1,000. I have to go get the numbers, but that's not that far away from real. And that's just crazy. We talked to our old hauler, the one before the last few bids, and they said unnecessarily high.
It'll pay for the truck then in a short amount of time.
Sure, man.
Absolutely. That's what I said, about a year and a half
That's great.
payback. Yep.
That's great.
Sounds like Horizon bought into this industry too, right? They're jacking the price up on there too.
Oh, yeah.
They did? Yeah.
No, I'm saying it sounds like.
Yeah,
Horizon raises their
price all the time, I know.
Same thing with garbage pickup.
And I guess the final question, Kathy, I guess our relationship, our ongoing, is it an annual agreement that we have with Robbinsville for the one, so that they can, I guess, what is the relation? What a treatment into our facility, yeah.
One is the master agreement, which is for us to treat their wastewater. So that means they collect it all in their own pipes. They will send it through a meter chamber, which is on the edge between our Hamilton and
Municipalities,
Robbinsville.
right.
We will meter how much it is, and then they will send it down through our one main pipe all the way to the plant. It goes through one pump station. So to treat that wastewater, to convey it and treat it, that's one contract. And you saw a resolution at the beginning of this year.
Yeah, we did, that's right.
Which is quarterly, they pay part of that.
Okay.
So that was an agreement between the towns, and there's resolutions on both sides.
So I guess my question was, though, for 2026, we have to renegotiate again, or is that in writing? I forget when that
So we have
contract
been
ends.
going year to year on
Okay.
that one.
Okay.
And it was originally renegotiated of sorts back in 2020
Okay,
with the new administration. And then there's been a built-in
escalator, right, yeah.
escalator in there.
Yep.
So, but it usually is, done on an annual basis, year to year. So
Okay.
before the end of this year, we'll do it
You'll work
again.
that
We'll
out.
have discussions again with them.
Okay.
Yep.
So the consideration for that in the future is with regard to rate studies and
Right.
revising the contract. That contract needs, even how this fee will be created in the future, the whole thing, that's being reviewed, and that will be redone, because that contract has no expiration, so it needs to have one, et cetera. So that's just ongoing. The other fee that they pay is for us to operate and maintain their pump stations. Billed separately, it's materials and labor, so our trucks, our people, our time is directly paid.
Okay, thank you.
Gary, I'm looking at revenues, spreadsheet looks like this. And we've got, so sewer connection fees are up. They've almost doubled. Can you explain that?
The easiest way to say is talk to Fred.
Just because of,
Because,
okay,
because that's,
development.
correct, right?
Okay.
All those things that are happening, you're talking about big, either buildings, complexes, that type of thing, that means more flow, you got people, you got wastewater, that's how it goes. Now, I sit on the Environmental Commission, and we haven't seen an application for several months through the Environmental Commission. So that means that things are slowing down. Maybe they sped up in the late fall to get things in, et cetera, but now they're slowing down right at the moment.
So, couple of things, I want to square a couple of numbers. We have a decrease in the reserve for debt service from 850,000 to 100,000. But then on the very next page, we have an increase in the payment of bond access note principal by 279%. So how do we square that?
So I want to get the second piece of that, but the reserve for debt service is really only brought in from reserves that we have from the prior year. So we probably had a larger reserve for debt service when we go out to bond. A lot of times we get that reserve from a premium that's paid. So it basically is a one-time shot. So it could be different every year depending on what you're bringing in to supplement that budget. And then what was the second piece?
The, well, the payments on the band principal bond access notes, we've gone from 54,000 in 2024 budgeted to over 200,000.
So, and that will end up being, I don't know how long we had the bands in 24 or why it's gone on so much, but it generally is a pay down of some of the bond anticipation note, and then the rest is interest on that band. You don't, so it's partially principal, let's call it that, even though it's not listed as principal, but it's a pay down on the band.
And we're paying more in bond principal. But then we have money,
Yeah.
that we've authorized to be borrowed that hasn't been borrowed yet?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So that might need to be reallocated depending on,
I think what we're looking at this year, and we work with Phoenix Advisors on that in order to know what the market conditions are and all of that. But we have an outstanding bond anticipation note currently that's coming due next month, I believe. And so we're going out to market, but we're going to roll over the bonds. So we'll again have maybe a pay down of some of that, small amounts, and then the interest on that ban as well. And in addition to our other debt service, her other debt service includes some loans from the iBank, and
Yeah.
then from past bonds that we've done, that a lot of them are almost ready to be paid off. Like it's been a long time since we did some real permanent financing there, so.
and you'd mentioned the iBank earlier, and they're always not strings attached, but certain requirements that you need to fill, certain caveats, conditions that need to be met. You were saying indoor work versus anything outside in order to be able to get the iBank financing. I'm assuming there's substantial savings for us when we're able to go through the iBank?
Absolutely. So in some cases, you get 75% of the loan interest-free, and then the rest of it will be at their market rate, which they go out to bond for, and they get similar rates that we all get too because of our rating. So it really does pay off. I think the least advantageous one was still a 50-50. So the half of the loan that you're getting is interest-free. So it's really worthwhile to do that. And we've had several meetings with the iBank just to see what's available. And they have made their process a little bit easier, but it's very involved and technical, and they have to approve each project. So it does take a little longer sometimes to go through that process and get that approval. But they've gotten it to the point where it's not that much longer than traditional financing. So it's really a great way to go.
Thanks. Let's see, you guys want to go to capital? Just go through.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to jump to capital, Carrie.
Okay.
It's at the streets, it's towards the back.
Oh, I have to list it over. Oh, here we go.
I met with Eugenia, John, and Thomas several times since December's original submission to focus, refocus, whittle it down, become more accurate and careful with the timing. This year, getting it done this year versus the beginning of next year, right? Because we won't have budget again till next year when you approve next year's budget. So will it be done then or not? And to move the other projects till 26. So this, my crews have said we will accomplish this year.
And by the way, we don't expect that you're going to get everything done in a 12-month window. We recognize there are a lot of factors that go into the timing. So I don't want to give you the impression that we want you to rush projects, that it's not optimal timing. You know, we trust that you're going to do the projects in due time and as soon as is practical. So.
And all of these vehicles are replacement that are listed here?
Yes.
On the list?
Mhm.
There ain't no real vehicles. Okay.
Yeah, not this year. Not regular vehicles, pickups.
Pickup, yeah.
Not, right?
Equipment, yeah, the forklift, the lawnmower.
Front end loader.
The roll-off containers, these are in addition to the ones we already have? Do we already have roll-off containers naturally?
We have no containers
So-
and we have no roll-off, but now we have our roll-off.
Right, so-
Yes.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. So the current hauler brings the roll-off container, we fill it, so he's supplying it.
Yes.
Okay, so with the purchase of that truck, we had to buy the roll-offs. Okay. I might be able to get a better deal on a lawnmower. Why he's got a big one we gotta get rid of.
Good. I'm good. Yeah.
Judd, anything else? Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
We're all set.
We're done?
Yeah, unless there's anything else you want to add.
No, except thank you.
Smart move.
Great job, Karen.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Carrie.
Thank
as-
you.
As always,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Carrie.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, Chief, thank you for joining us tonight. You're up. Thanks, Carrie.
We're going to come up.
Okay, okay.
It's all vehicle mileage and stuff.
Okay, thank you so much. That's the vehicle information.
Mike, when we started this, we didn't have gray hair.
I have a lot of gray hair now.
It's copied from Nancy, I think, but you're welcome to. Thanks, Chief, for joining us tonight. Any opening remarks that you'd like to kick off with?
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. This is my second budget that I've been completely responsible for, but I've been involved in the budget prep process for 15 years or so now. I'd like to thank Lieutenant Mike Kane, my handy budget officer here, who did a fantastic job, put a lot of hours into it. I'd like to thank Kathy and her team as well for the time and effort that she and her team put into it a few weeks back when we went over it with her. And got to be honest with you, I'm pretty satisfied with the operating. We have a pretty austere budget to begin with. There's not a whole lot of cushion or fluff in it, and again, it's something that we spend a lot of time and effort on to make sure that we're able to provide the services necessary to the public at a reasonable cost to the public. So really, my issue isn't even the operating. It's just it's one item on the capital side that seems to come up every year in terms of our vehicles. Other than that, I'm pretty satisfied with how the budget process has gone this year.
Let's jump right to should we start with capital?
We'll start with
There's a
it.
question
That's fine.
there, and then we'll jump over to kind of go backwards. How many vehicles are we buying this year, Chief?
As of right now, 0.
Is that right, Kathy?
As you know, with our attention really to lowering the capital budget as much as possible this year, we eliminated all vehicles from the budget, from the capital budget. There was requests from many departments, including the chiefs, and so we have no vehicles in these budgets. So it's, and it's all in a sense to kind of keep that so that we're not, we're watching our debt service and how that's going to go over the next 5 to 10 years. So.
I understand, and I've had those conversations about the debt service. I understand the responsible aspect. The problem is the vehicles, not to steal your thunder, but the vehicles run 24 hours. Mm-hmm. It's not going to cut grass, it's not going anywhere, and it's no disrespect to anybody that works in those fields. It's going when somebody calls 911. So I understand we have a certain obligation financially, but I think it would behoove us to figure out if we could squeeze anything in. You obviously know I'm biased. However, anybody picks up the phone, calls 911, the fire department to come and the police department to come, regardless of who else shows up or who else doesn't show up. So I think we just have to do our due diligence here.
Yeah, I share Councilman Papero's concern for, the ability of the police department to be able to respond to emergencies. Let's just back up a step and talk numbers, Chief. How many vehicles do you have?
Well, if you're talking patrol vehicles or
Patrol.
We have 36 marked vehicles, 2 of which are motorcycles. 1 is a transport van. The remainder are used for a combination of patrol, traffic, and our anti-crime unit.
Okay. And I know we were trying to get on a schedule. We've talked about this for years, trying to get onto a schedule where we're replacing a reasonable number of vehicles each year. Because what's the lifespan for a vehicle that's in use 24 hours a day?
Well, for a patrol vehicle, you're getting 2 to 3 years out of each patrol vehicle. They average 40,000 miles per year. And obviously, as that mileage gets closer to 100,000, after about the 2-year mark, the maintenance costs tend to rise fairly dramatically, and the risk of breakdown and inability to respond to calls, inability to have my full fleet available, becomes less likely the higher the mileage, the average mileage on our fleet goes.
The problem comes when not today, right? Because today, if you look at this list, there's cars with 5,000 miles on it. Mm-hmm. The problem is we're a little behind the 8 ball because we just got this memo on the back. But if you look at that memo that we were just handed, it takes 16 months to get it by the time you order the car until it actually gets on the road. That's a problem. So we've ordered a decent amount. I mean, look, back in 2021, I think 18 vehicles, right?
Something like that, yeah.
The problem is, the vehicles that were ordered in 2023, we just got. So what we're looking at today is status quo. The problem is, the beginning of 2027, this car with 80,000 miles is not going to have 120,000 miles. The car with 40,000 is not going to have 80. So when we start looking that far ahead, we have to look at what we're going to have on the road at that point.
And there's a certain attrition too with vehicles. Invariably, we drive so many miles a year. We get into car accidents. Cars are down for a while. Occasionally, they're totaled. So that has to be factored in as well. So, you know, my 36 vehicle fleet is rarely at 36 on a daily basis.
So Councilman Pipero mentioned 24, is that typical, 24 months for us to get a vehicle once we approve?
About
16?
Yeah, they actually take about a year for the vehicles to come in, but then they go to
16.
Winter Ford,
Okay.
which is in Cherry Hill, and they don't come in. For instance, we have 8 vehicles that are due this year in the fall.
Is that what we ordered last year, right?
Yeah.
Didn't we do 8 last year,
Yeah.
if I remember
Yes, we did.
correctly?
Right.
And they'll come in piecemeal in 1s and 2s to Winter Ford, and they'll change they change the largest equipment, for instance, the cages and the light bars, things like that. They change all that over. We'll retire an old car. They'll remove that equipment from the old car, transfer it to the new car if it fits in the new car. For instance, like the cages occasionally, if they change the design of the car, we'd have to buy new cages and so on. And then the rest of the upfitting we do back at our headquarters, and then also all the vehicle striping and so on is done in East Windsor. So even though the cars might come in after a year, by the time all the upfitting is done, it's another 2 to 4 months. So
The cars that are ordered in November 2024 aren't getting here this fall. They're getting here January or February of 26.
by the time they're upfitted and hit
By
the
the
road,
time they get,
it'll be
everything.
January, February of 26. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a tough turnaround.
Yep.
Even though-
And you're already eyeing the vehicles that you want to replace in this?
Oh, yeah.
The 8 vehicles that you want
And
to replace?
they'll jump off the page, actually. There's a couple of patrol
with the higher
cars that are
miles.
in that 80,000 mile range that are, and when we remove a patrol vehicle from our patrol fleet, they get sent into other units. They're not just retired and put out to auction. The other 2 stages where these vehicles go to are school resource officers and also our side job vehicles. Now, our side job vehicles, I mean, if you look at them, they're on the second to last page, I think. They're 120, 140,000 miles. They're on their last leg, and even those miles aren't reflective of their use, because a lot of them are used for traffic assignments, for example. So they might sit at a traffic assignment for 6 or 8 hours. You're putting more hours on the motor, but it's not showing up on the mileage. So those cars are really at the back end of their useful life.
Chief, do you have a dollar amount of what those vehicles for the side jobs have brought in between administrative fees and vehicle fees?
I can look. I have it on my annual report. It's somewhere in the 300,000 range, I believe.
So the town, every time a police officer is sitting on a traffic job, the town not makes, right? It's because it's paying for the vehicle, pays for administrative fee for the person to do the billing and payroll.
It's revenue.
It's revenue that comes back to the town. They're bringing 300,000, you said?
That's totally off the top of my head. I should have that in my annual report here somewhere.
Can I ask a quick question, just, Kathy, on the O&E, there is a budget line item that pops up, that's 25-240, purchase of vehicles, and it says undercover vehicles. That's different? Is that different, Mike? Is that what? Yeah. So,
Those are for our anti-crime narcotics officers.
okay,
They're regular vehicles, they're not outfitted with lights or sirens or radios.
so they're easy purchase for you?
Yes.
A quicker return?
Yes.
Okay.
What number was that?
That's, I'm sorry, I jumped. Because I marked this on my sheet.
I found it.
Yeah, 25-240-001-05.
All right. Sorry, John, I don't mean to interrupt. I have, now these are fees generated by our off-duty assignments. In 2024, it's $348,000. In 2023, it was $400,000 and change.
Now, that's road jobs and other security jobs? So
Yes,
that'd be administrative
that's
fees
right.
Plus the vehicle fee?
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, because they're not all vehicle jobs. Thank you.
Ideal world, what would you like to have?
I would love to have 10, which is what we always ask for. I realize it's not realistic in the current budget year. I can manage with 8 in an emergency, which it appears like, if there is such a thing as a budgetary emergency, probably 3 or 4. I can manage with a commitment. I know it'd be hard to ask for this, but a commitment from the township to make up for the difference next year, such as what was done in 2021. I realize that that was a massive purchase of vehicles. That's a lot of money. It's hard to, indebt yourself, to a different budget year, but it would be the same, whether I get 0 cars or 5 cars, it's going to cause the same issues, just in different magnitudes somewhere down the road.
Yeah, and that's,
Sometimes you'd rather bite the bullet, not interrupt, bite the bullet now than all of a sudden next year we're asking for 12 or 14 again.
Well,
Or
that's-
18 like we did in 21.
that's what we're trying to, I think that's what we're trying to avoid,
Yeah.
right, is down the road, suddenly it's going to be, well, we have a bunch of vehicles that aren't, suddenly it's like an emergency need as opposed to,
How much do these marked vehicles run? Are they like 60, 70,000?
They approach 80 after, with all the equipment.
I don't think you'll get a promise, right, of any kind, except we will promise to do the best we
Yeah.
can. Like
No, I understand that, but it's an observation more than an expectation of a commitment that either you're going to pay the price this year, or you're going to pay it next year, and there's no guarantee that the Explorers aren't going to go up in price, in future model years, because that seems to be
Guarantee it
the
isn't gonna go up.
trend.
Probably.
Significant the way we're going.
yeah, and that's another aspect to this, right? Like a vehicle that could cost us 80,000 this year might cost us 100 next year, at the rate things are going, and with tariffs now on parts for these vehicles
yeah.
and everything else, it could be that we're robbing Peter to pay Paul, or however you want to say that. It's a concern, and maybe it's something that we can talk about a little more, Kathy. Just see if we can find room for some vehicles. It's something we can discuss it. I mean, it's, we're gathering information tonight, Chief. We're not making any promises. Right now, you're at 0. I think there's consensus here to see if we can do better.
And if you look at this mileage, I can manage for the next year or so based on what I currently have. But again, with the lead time of being, 14, 16 months before we get replacement vehicles, the second half of next year and early into 27 is going to be really bad.
Yeah.
For us. Our fleet's not going to be at the same operational readiness that it should be and that it needs to be.
I hate to see us be penny wise, pound foolish. That's the
one you wanted.
Not robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, we got to find a balance on what we have and, our other obligations and what we can, I know the debt service is a big one.
Is their vehicle maintenance under police go under Public Works, or do they have their own line item?
So I don't know what year they started it, but they separate it out and charge the different departments. We do it in some other areas too.
Okay.
I didn't see it in here.
Yeah,
That's
I
why.
was just looking.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I have a $50,000.
It's under vehicle O&E.
Nope, went down to 34. All right, never mind.
You see maintenance of other equipment.
I thought it was.
And you're looking to just replace probably some of
Vehicles.
move some vehicles over to the side job vehicles? Is that what happens? Like, because they're about the highest ones.
For example, if we retire a patrol vehicle at 80,000 miles,
It goes over.
I'll make a decision with my fleet manager as to whether we need to replace a school resource officer vehicle or a side job vehicle. That's true. We did have one that we recycled into
Yeah,
into
it's
a
under
detective car as well.
police
Okay.
vehicles. It's the very first line item, maintenance motor vehicles.
What's the
501.
number on that?
501, 25, 240, 015, 025. We had 50,000 in last year's budget. It got charged with just under 20,000.
Why did mine skip from 24 to 26?
Yeah, it goes from 24 to
that's the-
26.
It should, it's a
What was the number
separate,
again?
it's a separate division of its own,
yeah.
police vehicle
Oh,
OE.
Ends in 015, 025.
015.
025 is the last 6 numbers.
And actually, if I can clarify one thing on that, Kathy, maybe you could help me out on this. That's to cover the deductibles for when we're involved in a motor vehicle accident. That's
Well,
not
it says in the detail, vehicle accident repairs.
correct.
Okay,
There's a vehicle over
so.
Right, it's not standard maintenance, it's not, changing oil and putting new tires on, it's for,
Okay.
in case I have a vehicle that's involved
Where
in a
does
motor
that
vehicle
get
accident.
charged
Oh,
to?
here we go. Purchase of vehicles, this,
I think that comes out of
Maintenance
Public Works.
not-
Of the garage?
Yeah, not in this
Yeah.
one, there's,
So,
there should be.
all right.
Yeah.
The actual maintenance on the vehicles, Chief tells me, is still with the garage, so it's in Public Works
So it's a
budget.
public works budget?
This is more
Yeah.
for accidents that happen, and that
Right.
we either need a deductible or we make the repairs in-house, which more than likely we send most of them out, right? Yeah.
Spent 19,000 last year on all their,
That's not maintenance. That's not maintenance.
Deductibles.
The 19,000 is not maintenance.
what is it?
It's deductibles if they have an accident, it's if we have to send it out to be fixed somewhere
Yeah.
else after an accident.
says vehicle accident repairs.
Right.
And
So-
it's,
But so
The
if it blows
garage.
the tire or the engine blows, that's not in there?
Public-
That would be in Public Works?
Public Works.
Correct.
and just to put just to point this out, last year we had 50,000 budgeted, this year it's actually 34.
Correct.
So you have
Right.
come down on what you're budgeting for that.
We expect they'll have less accidents.
Well, I could actually explain that, Mr. President. This was first introduced in the 2024 budget year, and
Yeah.
apparently, I think it was 2023, we had the township as a whole had a pretty bad year when it came to township vehicles that were involved in accidents. And Public Works, their budget could not support all the repairs that were being done due to accidents. So this was introduced at the request of the administration in 2024
Yeah.
for each division to have a line item to cover accident repairs. Now, we obviously had a very good year last year if we only had $19,000 in accident repairs. So I can't guarantee you that we're going to stay at that level, but, fingers crossed.
Is there a way that we can
Interesting.
keep track, moving forward, how much maintenance, even if it's not, obviously man hours, I'm not sure we can keep track of, as far as parts, right? Maintenance, as the cars break down, is there a way that we can see how much we're actually, after the vehicle hits 75,000 miles, right? Is there a way to see how much we're spending in repairs to figure out if we can keep the cars on the road a little longer, or if we need to replace them earlier? Is that possible to do?
I believe that they keep track of that in the garage through their software. I haven't asked them for it, but,
Just thinking if we need to replace a car sooner rather than later, or if we can hold off a little while.
right. I mean, we could look at your most vulnerable vehicles and then see what was the repair schedule that's been on this for the last year or longer,
If
whatever.
we search by
All of a
vehicle
sudden, you're spending a lot of
number,
money repairing one vehicle.
Right.
It pays to
Or
replace the
or it's
vehicle.
off the road more than it's on, so,
Right.
yeah, we could,
Well,
I'll check.
And at what stage do the maintenance costs tend to get prohibitively expensive? That's
Right.
That's the million dollar.
right. What are
That's the
they
million dollar
blowing?
question.
Right, what's your usual warranty, 75,000 or 100,000?
oh,
on
no.
an American car?
I can't answer that.
36?
Yeah.
36?
Oh, I
100
don't
on the
think
powertrain. Okay.
36,000
Yeah.
miles, right, on the car?
Now, the powertrain's different, but yeah.
I don't even know that we get such,
I can't answer that. My fleet
only
manager
because of what
may
it's
know
used,
that.
and when we alter it to be a police patrol vehicle, it may not, have the warranty that it came with the new vehicle. I don't know the answer to that, but it's a really good question.
Chief, would the traffic, like those construction where we have,
Side job vehicles?
Side jobs, yeah.
where the car's parked for, but running, right? It has to be running the whole time. Would hybrid vehicles be helpful in those instances? Is that a realistic possibility?
That's complicated because I couldn't predict how reliable hybrids are, what their maintenance costs are. I really don't know.
Can I answer that question?
Fire away,
So
Councilman.
the problem, think about it from outside the box. The problem with that is we're not buying cars for those jobs. They're the hand-me-downs.
Right.
So when the cars are so beat up that they can't be used for day-to-day work, they get sent there. So for example, Woodbridge Police Department makes so much money on an annual basis from their side jobs that they actually purchase the lowest possible model vehicle,
Yeah.
put lights and a radio in it, and that's it. Because they're not allowed to do motor vehicle stops. They're only allowed to be used for those jobs. We don't even purchase those vehicles, right? We just use hand-me-downs. So if that was the case, we would actually end up spending more money because now we're putting new vehicles into a place where we're using used vehicles. A great idea, it's just gonna cost more money.
It's being done, right?
It's
Like,
been-
Departments are doing this.
I'm sure other departments do that, and it's been proposed here before. I believe it was under the last administration, and I think President O'Hare at the time had those discussions with the previous administration of buying, basically stripped-down vehicles that weren't even rated necessarily as police cars, but, slap lights and lights on them and a radio on them, mark them up, and use them as side job cars. But again, you're still talking about putting out $40,000 for a brand-new car as opposed to using, a hand-me-down car for side jobs.
Ones that are just taken out of the patrol.
Yeah, that wasn't what I had in mind. I
It's good
wasn't.
thinking, though. You're saving
Well,
money.
And
if
then
the
it's
car's
not running.
parked for hours,
Not running, yeah.
Then it's, cleaner air for the neighbors, wherever the job is and everything else, right? So there are benefits, saves on gas.
Yeah, I'm not against analyzing, having that discussion about purchasing some stripped-down cars or some hybrids to utilize as side job cars. I'm not sure about the practicality.
Yeah, I'm not sure about buying new vehicles for side job cars
Yeah.
either. I didn't mean to
Right.
suggest that. I was, I don't know the state of the art right now as far as that goes, or what other police departments are doing or not doing. So I was just asking the question,
Yeah,
really.
no problem.
And we can have a sidebar conversation at some point in the future.
Welcome to it.
If we were gonna take that side job money from the administrative fees and the vehicle fees and designate it specifically to buy those cars, then that would be one thing. But otherwise, we're actually increasing the budget by buying them. But it's definitely a good thought outside the box thought.
Any other questions for the chief?
Oh, well, outside vehicles?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Fire,
No, you can
fire
only stay
away.
on vehicles, that's it.
I just looking at the overall personnel status for 2025, it's pretty much remaining the same, right?
Yeah,
I
we're
mean,
pretty
you have some
solid.
retirements coming up, or,
We're pretty solid right now with our
Yeah.
staffing levels. We're at 173, we should be at 174. We're in the process of hiring an individual who's currently a certified police officer in another police department.
good.
So we should be back up to 174. I always have absences. I have a couple of guys that are awaiting the results of their disciplinary cases. I have somebody who's being activated for the military on Thursday. I have another one in June that we're expecting. I have a couple of guys that are hurt. It's very common. I'm never actually at 174, but I can't complain about my staffing levels. The township has done a very good job in maintaining my staffing levels. Thank you, Kathy, and thank you, the mayor. And we've gone through, I think we had 16 or 17 retirements in the last year and a half or
Yeah,
so,
we have a lot.
and we've been able to replace all of them, including 2 that we currently have in the academy.
Good, good.
You've been able to replace all of them.
Yeah.
That's good.
The mayor
Yeah,
and the VA have done a very good job, even through COVID.
Yes.
Replacing everybody who had retired to keep the staff up. So that's a credit to the administration.
Now, just as an aside, I'd love to get back up to our max where we were a few years ago, 182. That's for future budget years.
We'll talk.
appreciate you coming in tight this year, Chief.
I like the fact you're planting the seed early.
Well, we were able to, during my tenure as chief, we were able to raise it by 3 by getting contributions from the school board for our school resource officers. They offset the cost of hiring an additional 3 officers, so that's, a baby step towards getting us up to where we used to be.
Budget's pretty short.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Chief. Thank you.
Good job on your budget.
Thank you,
Oh, thank you.
Lieutenant.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys joining us tonight. I think we're all set.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, yeah. We should have probably had them go first. Because they're so small. The tiny things.
Stay in line. You tried to do it, Kathy.
Your second appearance in the
See you later.
See you, Chief.
Where is that church?
Kyle, thank you for joining us.
I don't know what Owen.
Christopher, thank you for joining us.
No problem.
Different uniform than the last time I saw you.
I don't
Yeah,
understand. What
I'll
is
be
that?
changing back into it
Is
as
that
soon as
this
I'm
year?
done.
Heard you guys had a meeting today? You got,
Where is that in the
Local
budget
Emergency
reports?
Management
Because
Council.
we showed me
you
19.
want to talk about that? Because I'm not sure everybody else is aware that you guys had that meeting. I know the mayor was very proud of the work you guys did, and
All right,
you got a
I'm not
nice compliment from
understanding what
them.
you're saying.
I'm more concerned, do we catch
Where,
the bear
what
yet?
division is it in?
Yeah.
Charges. those
Where's the
charges.
bear?
Where's that
Yeah, we
49?
pushed
It's in a different town, it's out of our
We
hands.
pushed them where, the lines? Oh, okay, good.
I understand, that's what I had up.
Can you explain to the rest of council, meeting that you had today?
So we satisfied Directive 9 from
Oh.
NJOEM. We had our first local emergency management council meeting, which we're required to have.
I'm sorry, Kyle, is that, can you move that closer?
Hey, guys,
But do you see what we have?
it's
in
too
here?
much background noise. We're having a hard time.
Better?
Sorry,
Yeah, keep talking.
sorry,
Okay.
my fault.
Yeah.
Testing.
Yes,
Test.
it's just real low.
Huh. The red light's on?
There we go. Better?
Yeah, that's.
There you go.
Okay. So to satisfy Directive 9 from NJOEM, we had our first of what is a minimum of 2 per year of the local emergency management council meetings. It generally consists of us as the emergency managers, the administration, and the other folks that have signed the annexes are responsible for certain functions within our emergency operations plan. In the directive, we're also encouraged to include members of the public, such as nonprofits, faith-based communities, members of the business community, so on and so forth. Being this was our first meeting of the year, we kept it to the folks that signed the plan and our staff here. So we kind of just went over Emergency Management 101 from the foundations and the principles, training, the NIMS concept, ICS, the other directives that affect us as a municipality in the county and how we operate and function. And kind of our core principles are, guiding principles for this year and going forward, how we see ourselves operating, peacetime, blue sky days versus if we're called in for a weather emergency, police or fire type emergency, or as we experienced over the past 10 months, issues with the power generation at the sewer plant. So that's kind
So
of...
just to comment, they did a great job today. It was the first meeting, but you had everybody in the room, all the right people that, would be there at a real event, and very informative, really well done. So thank you very much. Thank you for including me.
Absolutely.
Great.
So we did prepare a brief opening statement, and Kathy, you heard us speak for about an hour and 7 minutes this morning, so we'll try to keep it to a more brief, 47 or 48 minutes tonight.
Excellent. Thank you.
He's not kidding.
So just, thank you everybody for having us this evening. This is our first, go around with this process, so we're, excited, nervous, somewhere in between.
Don't be nervous.
So,
We're easy.
kind of how we've operated the past year to 2 years is we've really unified the disciplines of fire, police, and public works. So joining me tonight is Deputy Coordinator, Chris Moll with fire, Lieutenant Mike Kane of police, and Emily Batista of public works, who's been functioning as our chief of staff. So we've worked really to chop away at some of our longstanding issues over the past year. We've worked to rewrite and now have a valid emergency operations plan signed by the county coordinator and the state police representative, so we've accomplished that. We're in the process of moving our emergency operations center from Public Works to Rustling Station 13. In the coming weeks, we should have the phone systems operational so the building can function as our primary EOC. So we'd like to invite you all to take a chance to see the facility, see where we're at, so you can have an understanding of what your roles may be or our roles will be during an emergency as we're activated. And we briefly mentioned it, but over the past 10 months from an operational standpoint, and as the mayor called it, the silent emergency, we worked to resolve the power generation issue at WPC. There was 4 power outages resulting from some faulty components within the substation. So working with PSE&G, Water Pollution Control, the administration, we were able to finally get the necessary components ordered, get the repair scheduled, get everything tested, and work with the utility, to schedule a power shutdown, restore everything, and move from generator power back to full utility power, all without disturbing the services to the residents. So, that being said, we understand that our budget is nominal, but we're looking to continue unifying our core mission and principles, also while meeting, the needs of our community. So, thank you, and I look forward to the conversation.
Thank you, Kyle. Councilman Carabelli and I were talking earlier today about the water pollution control, the emergency, and that can turn into a real emergency in a hurry. So we appreciate the responsiveness, and we recognize the importance of what you're doing. So with that, we'll just open it up to questions.
Kyle, when is the move actually going to take place?
So we recently met with IT, Bob McQueen, and as fire migrates to the rest of the township's domain, the phone systems at Rustling will come online as well, so hopefully within maybe a month, 6 weeks. So currently we're still functioning at Public Works. If we had a true emergency, we would operate out of there.
Public Works, okay.
What do you need from us? Let's make it easy.
Our radio system at Public Works, that's going to transition to the reserve EOC. That unit will be non-compliant with technological capabilities by the end of this year. So
What line number is that on the O&E?
it's
Yeah, I thought I saw it, but
yeah, 037 is the last line on page 4. Under electrical communication supplies.
where is it?
Right here, page 4. Right here, electrical communications.
So our
They asked for 11, we gave them 9.5.
and we received a revised proposal from Midstate, so it's slightly over that number now. It's $98,000 or $9,834.50. So we're just looking to navigate that.
Is there room for the additional money to cover the new quote that they got?
How much was that?
It's an additional $334.50.
They budgeted, they asked for 11, are you authorized 95, and they're asking for 98?
$98.34.50.
1 o'clock.
Probably find it somewhere within,
I figured.
if we can't find it within your budget, right? When we go to do transfers and all, it's a small
Yeah.
amount, so
Yeah.
we'll definitely find it.
Okay.
We'll get you your review.
Very good.
Okay?
That's pretty straightforward.
Easy, that's what I said.
Yes,
That's what you need.
Put a jar out.
Yep. Okay.
I'm hungry. Anytime.
Here.
Took your last one.
Good.
Yep.
Kyle, any capital investments in Rustling that you need?
We did submit something that didn't make it to the final finish line, so we applied for a grant through the Gary Sinise First Responders Foundation.
Okay.
For the technology in the room. So the grant application matches what our proposal was for the facility.
When do we find out?
sometime this summer.
Okay.
So
And what was that for? Oh,
the dollar amount or the items?
both.
Okay, so it's to upgrade the video displays and integrate with the computer system. So if you're working on, workstation 1, you can display to designated areas in the room, or, if we're working in the conference room, we can have certain things displayed to the group as a whole. Kind of just controls everybody's workstation and who can see what, or what everybody's working on. Like PDS, certain things they'll be working on, they'll have their CAD displayed, weather or asset management, if, administration is working out of there, any of their budgetary functions, things like that. So and the dollar amount is roughly $112,000.
That much, huh? For that?
Wow.
The grant, that'd be great.
Is there a match for the grant?
Well, you didn't get the grant, you said,
We
right?
applied.
They'll know by
Finds summer.
Oh, you'll know by this summer.
We can look into that.
All right, yeah, just check out the application and see.
Yep.
Want to make sure we have a match if they're going to get awarded the grant, but
What was the, I know it's zeroed out, but what was the Weather Sentry online?
So that's the weather forecasting service we use at Public Works. We have 2 logins there, but the flaw in the system is if I'm logged in as user 1 and somebody else logs in, it bumps you out. So if we're working at multiple locations, you really need to have the multiple, login profiles.
Oh.
If we're working at Public Works, during a weather event, but also activated at Rustling, you would run into some,
How much was that?
That was 2,800, all right.
it's a
2,200.
Yeah, it's a redundancy so we can access, our meteorology and our weather services.
But this is would it only be temporary, because you're going to eventually move all the operation over to Rustling?
We use it on a daily basis at Public Works, so
yeah.
because it's multifunction, it actually, not to go off topic, but it gives us information for when it's optimal to spray herbicides or pesticides, things like that. We can communicate with meteorologists in real time, plus our short-term, long-term forecasting.
Is there not room in Public Works budget to cover that?
Or a redundancy on it, yeah.
22.
How many times do you think you need to use it a year? I mean,
Is it something that's, frequently
it's not
used?
possible to just have one person logged in and then,
We can manage, sure, certainly who's logging in at certain locations.
so otherwise, I'll look in Public Works and,
Yeah, if it's possible.
see. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
You don't have
Good.
any capital items?
No.
No, they were just removed.
All right. Well, Kyle, Christopher, thank you for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and
Good job on your first budget.
yeah, nice
Yeah,
job.
nice job,
Thank
Kyle.
you. This meeting's adjourned.
Yay.
Oh.